think we should just, suck it up, Sarah, and just say, OK, we're going to pay 40 billion euros or whatever? Should we name a figure?
Well, I've no idea what the proper figure should be, and I obviously don't want taxpayers to have to pay a single penny more than they should. But I think what Barnier is asking for is agreement on how to calculate the bill. What elements should be part of the bill from which the figure will eventually flow.
Well, that's fine, Sarah. That's fine, Sarah. That's fine, Sarah. But I heard him say, Barnier yesterday said about Britain meeting its obligations post-Brexit. And let's be absolutely clear, Sarah, that Article 50 makes it clear that the withdrawing member state, once Article 50 has been concluded, has no further obligations. I mean, that's what the treaty says. Now, I've actually taken the very reasonable position on this, which is that the European Union has a 7-round cycle of spending agreements, and we committed ourselves, I voted against it, but we committed ourselves to a spending round that ends in the middle of 2020. So I accept that we have obligations to the middle of 2020. I accept there is an ongoing pension commitment for about 20,000 people who've worked for the European Commission or been MEP.
Including you and me,
including Peter Mandelson and all sorts of people, and us as well, yes.
Why should you get that pension?
Yeah, well, hang on a second. Now, that is the full extent of our obligations. There is nothing more than that. Against that, hang on, I haven't finished yet.
I'll come back to you.
Against that, we are a shareholder.
Hang on, Sarah, just a sec.
We are a shareholder in the club, including a 9 billion investment in the European Investment Bank. And I think if we're reasonable about our future obligations, and they're reasonable about the stake of assets we have, why not just call it quits?
OK, Sarah, just say, look, we're
not talking about new obligations that are created or assumed after we leave. We're talking about the runoff of obligations that have been assumed during our leadership, including ones, and it was mentioned in the news package, about projects in the UK. Things like University Hospital Science project, cancer research, diabetes. Crossrail has a £1 billion EU loan. It's that sort of thing that have been assumed before we leave, where the costs will sort of continue for a few years afterwards. And that's what we're talking about. No one's talking about new financial obligations after we leave, unless our transition and future relationship, as the government has indicated but refuses to spell out the detail, might imply buying sort of participation in things like
that's it, though. Now, surely just looking at this from a long way away, Nigel Farage, my impression is we're being asked to pay a membership to stay in a club. Is that not what it's about?
I think that's perhaps a position that the UK government was considering, that maybe if we have a transitional deal beyond the end of March 2019, we pay a contribution for that. And I would remind everybody, I'd remind David Davis and Sarah Ludford, we voted to leave. We didn't vote for transitional arrangements. We didn't vote for ongoing financial commitments. And I think people are underestimating just how angry the British public will be if we're expected to pay any money at all beyond the middle of 2020.
And just, can you put a figure on it?
Your side, Nigel, the hard Brexiteers, refused to actually do the hard lifting, the heavy lifting of spelling out exactly what Brexit would involve. And in fact, it's the Remainers who are trying to do that practical and pragmatic, the word that David Davis actually invoked yesterday without putting it into practice, the practical work. There's so many issues that need to be discussed and tied down. And you lot, the hard Brexiteers, because you're quite happy just to crash off a cliff.
Oh, no, Sarah, I'm not a hard Brexiteer.
Leaving it to the Remainers.
I'm not a hard Brexiteer, Sarah. I'm a democratic Brexiteer.
Do sensible negotiations with a rational outcome.
Okay,
stop trying to change the debate. All of this hard Brexit, soft Brexit.
Hang on. Final choice.
Let Sarah finish.
Giving people the final choice between whatever a Brexit deal the government can come up with and remaining in the EU.
Okay.
It's the voters who should decide our future.
Come on, the truth of it is the Liberal Democrats don't want us to leave the European Union and will do whatever they can to try and keep us in. We voted to leave, and you know something? Every single major spokesman and woman on the Remain side and the Leave side made it clear that if we vote to leave, we are leaving the single market, we are leaving the customs union, and that is not hard Brexit, that is democratic Brexit. It's what we voted for, and the people will demand it.
But what if they say, Nigel Farage, look, in order for you to have tariff-free or low-tariff trade with the EU, you've got to pay £10 billion a year. Let's say.
Do you know something? That's probably the worst-case scenario. And even that scenario, the tariffs we would have to pay are lower than our current net membership fee. No deal is infinitely better than where we currently are. And what really makes me upset is all of this, and I do, you know, Sarah and I agree, the government was slow out of the blocks. They do now know where they are. If we waste between now and March 2019 in a fruitless negotiation with a group of people who clearly don't want to give us a fair deal, we're missing global opportunities, and 85% of the global economy is outside the Eurozone.
Thank you very much indeed, Nigel Farage, MEP, former UKIP leader, and Baroness Sarah Ludford, Liberal Democrat peer, and a Brexit...
Got to do it. The public have spoken. It has to be done.
No, but the public's voice was based on...
No, just stop with it. Just stop with this, for God's sake.
Right, okay.
The decision has been taken. Rightly or wrongly, we have to leave the EU. Right?
Okay.
Done. So none of this, there was misinformation on both sides. We could go back to the dawn of bloody time. It's not going to make a difference. We've decided to quit. Now we need to prosecute. The war is over. We need to prosecute the best peace.
Do you know the interesting thing, Nick? Thank God that you're not sort of part of the parole board, because innocent people would remain in jail. If you make mistakes and the information is incorrect, the people's voice...
How have you deem it a mistake? My next caller might say that the Brexit is the best thing that could possibly happen to this country. So this isn't like a fact of whether someone was found with a crowbar, having just broken out of an old boy's house with his strimmer. This is an opinion. You are offering opinions.
Vic, let me land, okay? So if I'm offering an opinion, we look at the status quo of the most intense desire during Brexit was based on immigration.
How do you know? How do you know what drove all those millions of people to vote the way? Some of them did it. Yes, possibly they did. Some of them would have done it for other reasons.
So why would it hurt? Why would it hurt to have an opinion poll restating how people feel?
Please.
It wouldn't.
How many people do you have to consult before you go to the toilet?
Shall I tell you what? It's not about going to the toilet, but, you know, the bottom line is this, is that people understood Brexit in a certain manner and made a decision on that. That's a contract. When you take out a mortgage and they tell you...
Will you stop talking about mortgages and stop talking about parole boards? This is... He talks about...
Yeah. I want to make sure the analogy sinks in. A contract is based on discussion. We were misadvised, therefore that contract, the understanding, the memorandum of understanding...
You claim we were misadvised. Others would... You see, this is it. That is your interpretation of it. Others would claim it was crystal clear and it was the best thing Britain's ever done.
I've been under deportation order for the last 4 years, 5 years, coming up to 5 years. I think it shouldn't take this long whatsoever. This is just too long. It's ridiculous. I'm being punished for a crime that I've done, and I admitted I've done it, and I've done the prison sentence. On top of that, I got released, and they're still, I'm still under the deportation order, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't take this long whatsoever.
What was your crime, Adam?
My crime, I'm not proud. That time I was young, I was 19, and I was easily influenced. I'd done a robbery crime, which I got sentenced to 2.5 years, and I'd done the full 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So after I got released, basically I was put under deportation order, and I'm up to now I'm still fighting my case.
And where are you from?
I don't really want to say it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask a different question. When did you come here? At what age?
I came when I was 8 years old.
Okay. With family or?
With family. Yeah, I'm 28 now. I came here when I was 8 years old. Basically, I've spent like more than half of my life in this country, and it's just I find it ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. People should be given a second chance. I can understand if I went to prison like a couple of times, then get rid of me 110%. I've got no arguments about that. But the first ever crime that I've done, and then for me, for everything to get taken away from me. My livelihood, everything's been taken away from me.
I mean,
I'm just waiting for this process to end.
I mean, I'll be frank with you, Adam. I wouldn't put you in the same category as somebody who came to this country at 8 and is now campaigning to blow people up or planning to blow people. I wouldn't put you in the same. I wouldn't put you in the same group. Some people would put you in the same group and say you should still be deported, even though you came here at the age of 8. I personally wouldn't. I do believe that the normal criminal system should deal with you and has dealt with you.
Yeah, no, but I understand that, but the process shouldn't take this long. It should either be dealt with in 6 months or a year. After that, whether the person should be deported or should be left alone. The case should not be open for 4 or 5 years.
And have you been told why deportation is being sought against you? Is it simply because you committed a crime?
Yeah, because if you commit a crime and you go to prison for more than a year, you're eligible to be deported.
And what was your... were you armed in this robbery?
No, I was not armed at all. I was easily influenced. I was with 2 other people. They'd done a robbery to a guy. Basically, they even know the guy because the guy basically he won money from the bookies and stuff. And then after that, they basically the guy owed him some money, so they actually knew the guy. They robbed him, and I just joined in. I was there at the moment, and I actually did her part. The court's on CCTV, so I've done the crime. I've done the punishment. I still do not understand why they're still...
Well, because as you've just said to me, the law says that if you're in prison for more than a year, you're liable to be deported. Can I ask you, Adam, you don't want to say where you come from, but what are you using fear of ill treatment in your country as part of your defence to stay here or not?
No, I'm not using it because basically I have not grown up in that country. I don't even know, 8 years old, to be honest. I can't even remember. I hardly got good memories of that country. So all my family, everyone is here. So I can't just go back to a country where I don't even know where I'm going to be sleeping, where I'm going to be eating. So I'm not even from there, basically. My parents are from there, and I was born there. But really and truly, I don't know nothing about that country.
And you have no relatives there now?
No, I've got no relatives, nothing.